Our next reader of tonight is Joey Murphy, who has lived in Pittsburgh for over 20 years and is completely mystified as to why. In her fourth and final year of the MFA program at Pitt, she is hacking out a memoir and hoping none of her sisters start reading books.
I've been here so long now that my student ideas lapsed and I couldn't print anything. So I have to use the computer, which I usually won't do. This is called Larryville, 1992. It's a shame you won't go right for the paper. I could make a call. People still remember your grandfather. You'd have a job in no time. My mother sighs across the miles of telephone line. I can feel her shoulders deflate. You write so beautifully, just like your grandfather. The very thought of this terrified me. It was my closely guarded secret that I couldn't diagram a sentence or name the parts of speech with any reliability. Even my mother didn't know. I'd skated through school by distracting teachers with wild ideas and excellent mimicry, and had, with the notable exception of Sister Mary Funicular in the 6th grade, never been found out. That would never fly in a newspaper, no matter how I sounded on paper. Someone would figure out that I couldn't find the past participle with both hands and a flashlight. I would tarnish the family legacy. Sure, Mom, that sounds like a great idea. I was gambling that before she found her address book, she'd forget this conversation. Praise Miller Lite. I really like that. The Pittsburgh Press folded by the end of that summer, ending any threat that I would be forced to commit journalism. Meanwhile, that evening, dusk was settling over the spring as I left my apartment on South Atlantic Avenue. I'd chosen the neighborhood solely because my girlfriend already lived there, and I felt moderately oriented to the big city from there. I still only knew how to get to the Parkway by going all the way to Squirrel Hill, but I was proud of the fact that I could get myself onto the Parkway. The girlfriend and I broke up the second I'd finished unpacking, and on that night, as I dressed in my best blazer and bolo tie and ankle-high cowboy boots, I was getting ready for some big city gay singles action. Heading down to the Strip District for that Sunday's tea dance. There was a buffet and a pool tournament at Pittsburgh's newest gay bar, Skylights. I accidentally and magically transported myself from Liberty Avenue in Bloomfield to Butler Street in Lawrenceville through my own personal wormhole. I only realized I was going in exactly the wrong direction when I noticed the lights of the downtown receding in my rearview mirror. At that time, in the early 90s, Butler Street was bleak. It was miles of erect storefronts, Edwardian window frames, their plate windows covered by yellow sheets of newspaper and plywood. The sidewalks were punctuated by burned out street lamps and piles of garbage. There was almost no foot traffic at night. That's why I was so surprised when a young woman jumped off of the curb and started waving her arms at me as I swung a U-turn. I pulled to the curb to see what the matter was, and before I'd even stopped, she pulled open my passenger side door and hopped in. She was dressed in sweatpants and a Steelers jersey. She was out of breath like she'd been running, and her plain dark hair was pulled back into a ponytail. Under the dome light, I could see that she was young. Younger than me even, maybe 19. I figured someone was chasing her. I knew from my feminism class at college that women in these poor parts of town were especially vulnerable to domestic abuse, assault, and general trouble. I was glad to be able to offer my sister a helping hand, and proud that school had prepared me to face this really urban reality. What's the matter? I asked. Do you need to go to the hospital? Should we go to the police station? The police? She spat. No! Oh no, maybe it was a policeman that was harassing her. What about such things? What's going on? What can I do to help? I hoped to coax the story out of her so I could figure out the next step. I had read that it could be difficult for victims to talk about the abuse they'd suffered. Well, she took a deep breath and launched into her story. Me and my girlfriend are supposed to move into this apartment tonight, and we have most of our stuff in it. But the guy now says we owe him another $50 before we can get in, and he won't give us the key or let us get our stuff back until we pay him. So I'm out here trying to make a little bit of money. I said, oh, do you need a ride to work? I can do that. Where is it? I totally could do that too, provided she navigated. No, I don't need a ride, she said pointedly. I just need to make a little money. I said, well, how can I help? Are you looking for a job? I couldn't figure out how she expected me to help her find a job at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night. You need a ride to a payphone to call her? She gave me a long, pitying glance and repeated herself. No, I'm out here trying to make a little money. Listen, do you want a blowjob or not? $15. A blowjob? I repeated, the light finally shining into my brain. Oh, you're a hooker. I squealed like I just correctly answered a Jeopardy question. Oh my God, you're a hooker. Still puzzled, but very pleased with myself for figuring that out. I said, but I'm a girl. What? And before I could even formulate the next question, she was screaming at me. You're a girl? What kind of fucking freak are you fucking dyke? She spat at me. I don't do girls. I just give blowjobs. As she climbed out of my car, she added, I'm going to call the cops, and slammed the door.